All right, we are back for part three, um, and we're talking to Jay Gambit of Crowhurst and Executioner's Mask. So just wait for him to jump back in. Okay, here he is. 1 second.
Hello.
All of these interviews have been going for like part one, part two, part three. Like, it's a ridiculous thing. 60-minute limit only. Anyway.
It's cool. I'm used to the flaws of technology. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I was saying, Dream Crusher, like, yeah, it's like, why isn't it like? There's clearly like in my mind, I can think of numerous people who should be picking it up, and I'm wondering why they aren't. Like,
well,
what is it about? What is it exactly that they're frightened of?
I think that a lot of stuff is it stays underground for a very long time. We've been working with I've worked with Dream Crusher starting in 2015. Like it comes down to, like, we were talking about the day, the Black Square Day, and I saw an artist tweet, all right, but after the black squares stop trending and all that stuff, how many of you artists that post all this stuff are going to take us on tour?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, are you gonna post a bunch of statuses? Are you gonna take us on tour instead of the Bong Maiden or whatever band, like, will whoever Sabbath riffs bring is the most beer money through the door. Like, I think that's really where the answer lies, in that there's a handful of artists and managers and agents that control stuff, and it comes down to what they know is safe and money making. Because nobody wants to lose a bunch of money. Principles are good and great in whatever until you start losing a shitload of money, because an idea is great if you have a platform, but if your idea loses your platform, then you kind of negates the whole purpose of expressing that idea. Because
but it's like, there's bands, like you're saying, there's bands out there who have the position and to be able to say, hey, we're going to bring blah on tour with us, and they do have that clout, and it's like, why? But instead they'll just stick to the same, like the exact same like formula of just some other white dudes.
I guarantee you, all of everybody's phones are happy to be answered, and nobody's looking for a lot of money. Like, I don't know. There's, without mentioning too many things by name and getting people potentially upset.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of indie music, when you look at it, is very white, very white. And when it's not white people, it tends to look a bit, a bit cartoonish, to put it in a very gentle way.
Yeah, or also like a bit contrived.
I like to give the comparison. So when I was growing up in my early teens, I had a lot of movies from my parents' generation, and my parents were a bit older, so I had a lot of shit from the 70s. And whenever you had an Asian character, they were a scientist or an angry dad, or a mathematician. They Charlie Chanized them.
I was gonna say, or 7-Eleven.
Well, that was anytime you had like a brown person, they were Indian and they were 7-Eleven, or they
Yeah,
were a doctor or something like that, surgeon,
yeah,
and you just kind of grew to understand that, like, well, if Jews would be lawyers and doctors and nebbish, and they would never really have any positions of power that they would exert physically. They usually weren't very attractive or cool. They were usually conniving and shit like that. And you got used to these things because it was like, well, this is what we get. This is what
yeah.
you have. This is what you have to deal with. And then
Yeah,
I,
I was gonna say, I even remember, like, being young, and the stereotype of Jewish people are like, they're all rich and they hoard their money and
well,
hold it within the community. And it was like, where does this come from and who's saying this? It's white people saying it. But like,
but
and I was like,
media.
but
That's
how
what
do
you
you
know.
know this?
Well,
You know?
then my whole thing is that when I turned into a teenager, we got Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle,
Oh
which
yeah.
is one of, well, and looking back on it, it's like a but at the
Yeah.
time, and up until very recently when I rewatched it, it
Yeah.
was like I considered it to be like a great movie, and I
Yeah.
look back at it, and not only isn't it funny, but like
Yeah.
I love Freddy Got Finger, and I still think Freddy Got
Oh
Finger.
my fucking God.
Like I love
Why
all
aren't we
that
like,
shit.
why aren't we best friends? Because I think that movie is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And do you
It's
know
one
how
of the,
many people have made me like turn it off after like 15 minutes and go, this is disgusting. How do you find this funny?
it's
I played it for my father, right? I was like, this movie's fucking funny. You need to watch this movie, right? And my dad was like, all right, like, because my dad got me into horror. He got me into like a lot of rad shit. So I was like, I reckon he's going to get this humor. Like, he's going to get it. So I made him watch it. He fucking loved it. And like one day, this is a true story. One day I was like, I think I was like 18 or 19 at the time. And I was just back home visiting for a very short time. And I was in this like kind of back area of our house where there's like computer and stuff, and I was like doing school shit or whatever, and on the internet, and then I heard some weird noise, and I was thinking, like, what is that? Because I thought I was home alone, and I was like, what is that noise? And then like I got up and like, oh, I
all
got
right.
up and
That's
like,
our own stampede.
no, that's cool. I got up and like walked out of the room, and it's like huge lounge room, and then there's like an archway into the dining kitchen, right? And as I got closer, I was like, I could hear it was my dad, right? And I got right to the very edge of the doorway and like just like kind of poked my head around, and there was my dad with a frying pan cooking sausages, going, Daddy, would you like some sausages? Daddy, would you like some sausage? And he thought no one was home. Like, I thought no one was home, and he thought no one was home. But he was like literally dancing around, and he was like doing the pan. He was like, Daddy, would you like some sausages? Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Oh,
And he was
wonderful.
loving it. And I just pissed myself off, and I was like, busted! And he like started laughing hysterically, and I was like, yes, you're my people.
Yeah,
You get this.
I was on the Tom Green show, his talk show, Webavision.
Yeah.
I'm a big Tom Green fan.
I used to watch all of his show. I love the Slutmobile.
Oh man, he was amazing. He was the
Yeah.
original everything. But
Yeah.
no, I love all that stuff. I just thought the thing about Harold and Kumar was that their whole thing, the whole crux of that movie was built around the idea that, okay, well, we've got these stereotypes, but they're also potheads, and they're
Yeah.
aware that they are these stereotypes, and they're trying to break out of it. But in the end, they really are just a nerdy Asian guy and a fucking, like a guy who would be a doctor who's also Indian. But they still smoke pot, so it's okay. They can be themselves.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that was like, I guess, the emblematic of the idea of progress for, I guess, kids who are my age.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, who are kids at my age. And like, oh, cool. So what we have to look forward to is being made stereotypes again. And like
Yeah.
now I'm finally at the age, and I'm in a weird position where, like you want, you know, you and other people want to interview me, and I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a platform, and my music has some sort of enough of an audience that people give a shit about it, and like,
Yeah.
I could perhaps challenge the idea that there is no place for cool Jews that, you know, aren't.
Yeah, and I think it's something that like people sometimes shy away from even talking about, which is why it's cool that you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, like some artists will like just not want to just like they will just be like, I just want to blend in. Like
Well,
I don't want to like bring politics and race and blah into it. So I'm just gonna.
well, you don't want to be tokenized, and
Yeah.
also you work. I mean, I'll be real with you. We're having this conversation because we're chatting on Instagram Live at what is 2:11 in the morning as friends.
Yeah.
We're not like this isn't like, oh, I got to talk about shit for a blog.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we're talking for like 3 hours shooting the shit, and I think if it were a blog, I wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
Well, because you want to have an actual platform.
Yeah.
And that's the catch-22, because they don't give brown people platforms. Then once you have a platform and you want to talk about these things, they don't want to have the conversation with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're like, oh, we don't want to. Yeah.
You know, do you want to talk about it to the same 12 people inside that echo chamber? You know, talking for you know, Unity magazine about unity, or do you want to finally get to a position where you have a voice that reaches people who don't particularly give a fuck about your politics? Because that's who I want to talk to. I always want to talk to, like, people are like, why did you do a record with a guy who was in Death in June? And it's like, because guess what? Those motherfuckers are the ones who've never seen a Jew before. And if you've ever met a person who's never met a Jew before, they're the ones who are the most racist. And then they realize they're talking to one, they're like, oh shit. So oh, well, I guess I can cross that off the list of shit that I thought was true but isn't true.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, you keep talking to the same 12 woke motherfuckers, it just becomes a competition, circle jerk about how woke you can be. Well, I'm more woke than you, and it becomes a power struggle. Who, you know, like it's just becomes white supremacy all over again.
Actually, Death in June lives in Australia.
I mean, like,
they all come here.
I think, you know, there's the whole idea that also people can't change is really fucking. It's kind of this idea that is predominantly held by the ultra woke white motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Who are like,
not by the actual people who it's involved. Like that brings like a question, like, because I can actually ask you because you are Jewish.
Yeah.
Like, what is your thoughts and vibe on bands and artists using, like, you know, like using Nazi propaganda and symbols and all that kind of thing? Like, you know, Death in June, whilst, you know, I like the music, but I do have qualms about the fact that he uses, you know, Nazi imagery. Yeah, like,
well,
and you know, and he has those symbols, and I feel uncomfortable about that. Well, and then there's a lot of other bands who use runes and like.
Yeah, you got to take every instance about like its intent. You know, there's a real like, I guess, removal that people like to do It's
Yeah.
weird. We have more. I could understand it in the 90s where you couldn't fucking get more than a little bit of information about a motherfucker at a time. But now it's
Yeah.
like anybody could learn about what motherfuckers' politics were yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
you know, look on dude's Twitter account. He'll tell you what he thinks now. You know, not just what he thought in 1988 at that one particular point when you had no idea what the fuck was going on in local politics, his family life, you know, like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
media in his area at the time, what was influencing, and you can read about a lot of that stuff. The Tony Wakeford situation is a perfect example of what what far right stuff did they do? Why did they do it? Did they renounce it? Did they actively try and make the community better? Do they still feel
That way.
as strongly as they did then? That that 6 month period where they made some far right shit was like not super great. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know. I think my answer to your question is if you go to any rabbi and you go, Rabbi, I have a friend, and that friend, his dad is a racist. His
Mm-hmm.
dad is a born and bred racist, and he calls me a heap, and it hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him about it, and he stopped, but I still can't seem to shake the feeling of being hurt, of being, you know, that person called me a heap.
Yeah.
The rabbi would very likely say to you, your feelings are valid. You have a right to feel hurt as a Jewish person, but
Mm-hmm.
you also need to forgive. You need to recognize that people grow and people learn, and a part of life and a part of living is recognizing that growth and moving on. Because if you carry the, you know, if you begin to carry a prejudice in your heart against people for one particular instance, after they've shown remorse and shown that they've
Yeah.
learned, then you're showing the same kind of prejudices that you claim to, you know, find repugnant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what? Who are you to claim superiority over somebody who, you know, said some shit a long time ago
Yeah.
and has renounced it? Now your personal level of comfort with consuming art that has, you know, ties to racist ideology or imagery, that's a personal preference. I think
Yeah.
as white people probably are going to feel a little bit more uncomfortable, or in some cases more comfortable, with that stuff than people of color. I think people of color have, especially the Jews, have a tendency to have a strong affinity towards things that remind us that, you know, this could happen again.
Yeah.
We're not fucking safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you see shit like Charlottesville, but we also have learned, like through Mel Brooks, that a way to cope with a lot of pain is to laugh at it. And you know, it's like the old. My mom is like a second wave feminist. She's a bra burner, and she was one of the people who taught me, you know, you can punch somebody and they can get angry and they can go, well, I can punch you harder. But if you laugh at them, there's no real way to come back at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because then you're challenging them ideologically, and that's much more dangerous. And I
Yeah.
think that by laughing at the ridiculousness of a lot of stuff and seeing the comedy
In it. Yeah.
and it allows me to understand a lot of like this kind of like goofy dungeon synth SS worship shit.
Yeah.
Like these fuckers don't hate Jews. They think that the Nazis held UFOs and were doing weird genetic
Yeah.
experiments to please their extraterrestrial overlords. and that racial purity was a way that they could sort things out for the Fourth Reich, which is the fucking lizard alien overlords. Like, those fucking people are not the people who want to kill us.
Yeah, yeah.
Cut it out. Stop conflating those motherfuckers to the dudes with tiki torches. Because if you start lumping the people who think sci-fi Nazi shit, the people who like legitimately go, Jews will not replace us. We will not stand for non-white people in our clubs, in our shows. You know, like, then you fucking lose the entire fucking plot. You lose the muscle.
I think something just popped. 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. I just a huge thing just popped and oil went everywhere. Yay!
No worries. But yeah, but that, I guess that's my whole rant about like obviously I don't like fucking outwardly racist music. It's not good. But
No, like,
you know,
and
like,
it's like, because that's why I'm asking you, because it's like, it's, you know, I mean, white people get a lot of shit for giving a shit about whether you give a
you've
shit.
got like Screwdriver is fucking shitty racist music.
Yeah. But even like things like, for example, I went and saw Jojo Rabbit, right?
Okay.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, but like Jojo Rabbit's like it's just
it's
you
like
can't fucking get somebody for using Hitler as a character. He's a fucking like Hitler was basically could have been an anime villain. Like Hitler was like anime villain level evil.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was there were people in the cinema that walked out of the film, like, because I was so offended that there was this, you know, the kind of parody satire around it, and like they actually got up and left. And then I thought, oh, okay, they've completely missed the point of this film, clearly. But like, you know, I don't know whether they were just woke white people or whether they were actually Jewish or whatnot. But
people have a right to be offended. People have such a right to be offended. But I think as somebody who like has to give a shit about certain things, I'd rather fight the real enemy. And
like the people,
you know, like even like it goes beyond satire. It goes towards like actual music that's racist. And music like Death in June that, you know, a long time ago used racist ideology, or not racist ideology, racist imagery, I guess, the Totem Cove, and but didn't.
And they also had
but they didn't do anything anti-Jewish. They just sang about SS soldiers. They sang about SS soldiers fucking mostly and being in love, and like I think SS erotica and Doug P's weird Nazi fetish is a little different than Third Reich propaganda. Like Argus Lent lyrics and Death in June lyrics have a very different tone. One is very Aeneas Nin and one is very Turner Diaries. And you know, so I think that if you can't draw a distinction between the two, then the problem is not the artist, because the artist's job isn't to sit you down and go, all right, so it's your turn to, everybody turn to the lyric sheet. We're going to sit down and we're going to discuss the context of these songs. Unfortunately, we don't have an active MTV to do unplugs where Doug P can discuss, you know, what he really meant with Brown Book. But like, you know, we can choose what albums we like to dig on, what albums we don't want to dig on. Just, you know, not supporting shit that's actively fucked up, like Varg, is gonna help. But again, I'm Jewish, and there's an album that I like to present as my example to people that all NS music that is racist is not inherently racist.
Mm-hmm.
There's an album by a band called Kataksu
Mm-hmm.
called Hunger of Elements. Now, Hunger of Elements is emperor level beautiful. It's a Russian album, and
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the most gorgeous symphonic keyboardy black metal records of all time.
Yeah.
The concept of this record is, and I could be getting a little bit paraphrasy with this, but it's general gist of it is pretty correct here. So we all advance 30-20. Society ascends. We go to space. We go up. We meet in the heavens with the supreme alien overlords. And they go, no juice. No juice. To me, that's the funniest fucking shit in the whole world.
Yeah.
Like that ultra specific sci-fi racism that even the aliens, like, we progress to the point of intergalactic travel. We travel, ascend to the heavens, meet hyper intelligent beings, and the first thing they think is, gotta exert our anti-Semitism. To me, and then to wrap it in the most technically beautiful black metal record is just like, and put what is, if you look at the cover of this record,
I'm
it
gonna
is
look
what
it
was
up now.
described to me
How's it spelled?
Hunger of Elements. If you look that up, what you will see is what was described to me by a metal writer who is also Jewish as a space swastika. And when you see it, you're like, oh wow, that's a space swastika. I didn't know that existed before.
Yeah.
Sure as day, that's what it is. Undeniably a space swastika. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
When you say space swastika, you're like, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. And when you see it, you're like, God damn it, you're right.
Yeah.
It's space swastika.
It 100% is, yeah.
But the like galaxy brain fucking Cro-Magnon thinking, it's simultaneously so brilliant and ignorant that it could be like, whatever the Jewish version of a Key and Peele sketch would be.
Yeah.
Like a racist black metal band. If you had some Russian D&D black metal nerds sitting in their basement, like what could we concept? What is the guest concept? Oh shit! You rolled 2 8s. No Jews in space. Got it. Break out the keyboards. We're gonna make the best black metal album ever. That's like when someone says, "Where is your bar for NS music?"
Yeah,
I'd say probably around there. When you could just be like, guys, what are you doing? Like, you're not the real NS people who are trying to replace Jews. Again, you're the people who have never met a Jewish person because you live in a town with a population of like 800 and they all look like you. Like, what am I gonna do? Hate you because you don't live in a town that has systematic multiculturalism? Then I become a fucking.
I love it that they call themselves black hateful metal.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like some ethereal bullshit. It sounds like if you didn't know, because they sing in Russian, and it's mixed like My Bloody Valentine. So even if it was in English and they were like, we hate Jews, and I knew Russian, and I was like, oh, I recognize that they hate Jews, I wouldn't be able to hear it because they fucking sound like Kevin Shields in the mix. Like,
yeah, it's like best use of synth in black metal, a soundtrack for evolution. These are comments,
exactly.
by the way.
Some weird like sci-fi white pride shit. Soundtrack for evolution. And like, if you look at the translation of the lyrics, there's literally one line about white pride.
The songwriting here is brilliant. Compositions and production on Hunger of Elements serve merely as a gateway, channeling and inter-exchanging unhuman strength into into and from the Sky Galaxy.
It's great. It's everything they say is true. It's also racist. But like again, it's racist in the sense that they have like and the white pure snow ascends to the heavens above, and only they shall remain is like the only racist line in the whole thing.
It's funny. It says here. Do you know this band? It says features members of Swastika. That's spelled Swastyka.
So not only are they racist, they can't spell.
Yeah.
They just channel all their brain cells into plankton.
To spell it correctly. Oh my god! I'm gonna look up the swastika.
This is the shit that like when people talk about wokeness, it's like these people are not people I consider the enemy. I just don't.
Yeah.
They're nerds, like, and they're not the kind of nerds that want me gone or would do anything.
Wow.
Like they wouldn't even leave the house.
Yeah.
Like what are they gonna do? They'll get angry and make a black metal record about me.
Trying to see if I can show you.
What's up?
Trying to see if I can. Can you see that?
I'm moving closer to the eye. Is it a golden eagle? What does it say?
Yeah, it's a golden eagle, and then it says swastika, and then it's like a swastika, but like kind of like with sickles as the bits.
You're gonna get put on a watch list for looking at this Metal Archives page.
No, it's a Google image.
Oh, even worse. I got you on a list now. No, I mean like I guess that's my take on it is like overtly racist music is bad. Work to your own comfort level, but like I don't know, you're in a position where you cover bands.
Yeah.
Cover more fucking, brown weirdos, black weirdos, Jewish weirdos, Muslim weirdos. We've gotten to the point where we went from Ellen to Will and Grace to Pete Buttigieg is gay? I don't know. I heard that he was a crook. It doesn't matter that he's gay. He's a crook. We got to get him the fuck out. Like that we went to literally like it's an afterthought that our potential president could be gay. That is the level of acceptance that we got in America. Let's get to the level of visibility with like brown, black, Jewish people, and if that starts with editors and writers and journalists and people with editorial power going out of their way to take on people who may not have the best publicists, may not have the best labels behind them, and take those chances, because you do cover fucking, like you said, you had Author and Punisher watching your stream.
Yeah.
Like you have eyes on your shit.
Yeah. And it's like I've approached like some people like for these interviews that are because King Dude was laughing at me because he was like, they're all white guys, there's not many women or non-white, and I was like, and that's not deliberate. It's not.
No, I don't think
it's not deliberate. But I was like, I've asked a band here in Australia called Divide and Dissolve, and they're all about like whites, like ending white supremacy and like and it's like they've people one of the members is a person of color and has very strong like views and is really active in the community, and I really want to get them on. And More Mother's another person I would love to have on.
But I think artists that don't have like More Mother's visible. I think
Yes, she is, but I mean more like under.
But I think going to somebody like More Mother and not just saying, I want to cover you, but here's the thing that publicists and labels, and I don't know, when I was a kid, I was told this is how shit was done, and now it's just not that way. But like A&R, part of A&R was going and being like, who do you think is fucking coming up in your community?
Yeah.
People don't ask that. But it's like, who's coming up? Who do you know?
Yeah.
You know better than anybody because you're the leader of your community. Who's coming up?
Yeah.
Who do you think's earned it?
Yeah.
We don't get that much anymore. And I think that if you asked More Mother or you asked Dream Crusher, they'd have a laundry list of people that they work with in their community. Because as we know, this shit is mad segregated. So you're already speaking to the people that have broken out of the systematic segregation that exists within these fucking underground communities. You got to ask them, hey man, you're the fucking bridge. Give me some more. Open up the floodgates. But nobody does that. So it's like, what you say, More Mother. I know who More Mother is. You know who More Mother is. More Mother gets plenty of publicity. But like, who does More Mother work with?
That doesn't.
Yeah, and like, who will benefit truly? Because this is the thing. It's not about whether they get the publicity or they don't. It's about who will benefit from having their name next to King Jude, Author and Punisher, Andy Curley, all these people. It will be a face that somebody, like when I was a kid, I would be able to look and go, oh, cool. You could get up there without having to be Adam Sandler. You could get up there, and I think somebody who could get up there, like Earl Sweatshirt was a great example for me of like who represented all my friends who were not they weren't Tyler the Creators. They were sitting at home watching Naruto, smoking weed, probably came from a semi-religious family, like, were kind of nerdy, didn't fit in with many of the stereotypes, probably didn't consider themselves conventionally attractive. Like, they weren't radicals, they weren't futurists, they didn't have very loud voices. They're talented. They're mad fucking talented. But they weren't personalities that could be turned into cartoons. Tyler the Creator literally turned into a cartoon for album covers and shit. Whereas, like, Earl was real. And I think that we need more shit, like, we need more Earl sweatshirts. We need more motherfuckers who just, like, what'd you do? Well, today I sat in the house and I watched 15 episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. And it's like, you've done that shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've done that shit. But
Forensic Files.
Yeah.
I had my time with Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you don't see people get covered like that. You see, like, you get an extreme character, and when you get a person of color, it's generally someone, when you ask them that question, it isn't I sat at home and watched anime all day. It's I fucking, I wrote a 15-piece symphony, or I channeled the spirits of so-and-so, or I was out on the streets being an activist, or fitting whatever white people's narratives of what black people, brown people can be. It's like, I guess normalized fucking normal ass fucking people, I guess. It's like, we get the most mundane ass white pop and indie stars. Like, fucking Lana Del Rey and Father John Misty aren't particularly interesting people.
Father John Misty, fall asleep.
I mean, like, dude couldn't have picked a worse alter ego, a more bland alter ego. But I think it was ultimately meant as parody of what he thought they, labels wanted to market. And then became that thing because it sold really well. So you continue to play that role. Like, Lana Del Rey did the same thing. But, like, their role is that for white people. They're peddling that bullshit. But then you also get your standard indie stars who don't even have that strong mundane element. So why? And there's such an abundance of them. Why not? I don't know. It just. I hope that there's more visibility of just the fucking every kid of color I grew up with wearing, showing up with one of those like satin fucking anime shirts with the tiger on them. Like,
Yeah.
Like the kids I know, of color who have Crunchyroll fucking subscriptions and who play violin and don't fit the stereotypes.
Yeah.
Who aren't like activists.
Or doing like geniuses like Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, like where you're just like the dude does everything.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
like an anomaly.
I think we also have a problem with like as the artistic community, we need normalized not doing shit. We live in it. We have.
I mean, I've been ever since this, especially since this, like prior to Black Lives Matter, but particularly during it, I've been making a really conscious effort to look at what is around me and be more like, like trying to find these acts and trying to be more consciously aware of that of everything like that. Like, it's and Australia, like, we are incredibly multicultural, but unfortunately, musically, we're very white. Which,
I mean,
minus, and that's why I'm trying to get some other people on. Like, we've got a lot of Indigenous artists, musicians.
yeah. I mean, I think right now it's. I hate to say it, but it's a lot to expect mainstream audiences to immediately become accustomed to what is considered traditionally world music. But I do think it's a lot of artists' responsibilities, not on the terms of that kind of stuff. It's more artists' responsibilities to integrate more Indigenous artists into the community. Because again, if you as press just immediately start covering Indigenous artists and they're not a part of the community, they become tokenized.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like, if you look at like David Byrne, what David Byrne did with Luka Bop, where they started integrating William Onyeabor and a lot of African musicians and putting them in the Talking Heads and the live bands and shit like that.
Yeah.
Giving them proper releases. It really did create a greater sense of awareness to the point where people want to hear the conversation. Because again, you can have the conversation. People need to tune in. So it becomes that everybody does their part. Like when I said earlier about like you got to normalize not doing anything, is like I think also on on a different front, artists are meant to be doing something nonstop. Either constantly posting, constantly working on music, constantly doing this, and like I've already built my career around hyper productivity, but it's a larger problem.
Well, I mean, it's become a larger problem for society in general now. During this COVID thing, like, there's been this massive thing about productivity, and like you need to be posting and you need to be doing shit, and like it's like, you know what? It's a fucking pandemic. It's stressful. It's like life-changing. If I want to sit here and spend an entire day watching Netflix, why the fuck not? Like, you got to decompress. Like, it's like not, you don't need to be constantly like creating and constantly like doing all these things. And there's all this pressure now that like you need to be constantly productive.
It's funny that like people are like that, but yet I don't know, there seems to be no understanding that like everybody is fighting for health care, but people don't think about taking care of themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
And like I'm not arguing against healthcare, but what I am saying is like we also need to figure out how to reconcile with the fact that like when our car breaks down, we recognize it's because the reason that our machine will not take us from point A to point B and not be reliable is because we didn't basically maintain it. We didn't give it proper maintenance. You can't just run on empty, literally and figuratively, because your machine breaks down. Your body is a machine in that similar sense. You can't just run it all the time on full force. You're gonna fucking crash.
yeah.
No machine.
It's interesting, that whole concept. It's like, you know, you don't like, yeah, you just, like, we prioritize everything else above our own health, mental health, like all that shit. And it's really like, you know, and then you wonder why things go, like, why things fuck up, or, you know, there's all these issues, and it's like, well, because no one's addressing the root cause, you know.
Yeah.
It's like they're glossing over this, like, you know, it's like that whole, like, you know, movements, like we have a movement, you know, like different like charities and things will be like, oh, we have a, you know, are you okay day, and it's like, well, no, I'm not okay. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
And,
and we got to normalize not being okay.
Yeah.
I think there's the next step is normalizing that it doesn't mean that you need to be medicated if you feel stressed in a stressful situation.
Yeah.
And you're anxious in an anxious situation, and you're depressed in a depressing situation. Particularly that. I think a lot of people are in inherently, systematically depressed situations, and they think that they have clinical depression when it's, and I don't say they, I mean they go to a doctor, and a doctor says you have clinical depression. We want to give you pills. And at that point, you go, well, I have clinical depression. I need to take these pills. And, you know, the doctor doesn't factor in that you are in a really shitty situation that would make you depressed.
Yeah.
And if you remove that depression, or the depressing circumstances, then you probably won't be as depressed. Now, a lot of people do have clinical depression. I have severe depression, but I think there's also a lot of I've been misdiagnosed throughout my life and been on every medication. I think 60 or so medications. Been diagnosed with everything under the sun. Yeah, and I'd say I know firsthand how doctors can just go, and then once you're misdiagnosed at one point, let's say you get yourself out of that situation where you're you're depressed that caused the natural states of depression. Yeah. And now you're on that medication. So your shit's already fucked. Your pendulum's already swung. So you're in a bad way, and you're going to continue to be in a bad way. And it really fucks you up. And I think the root of all that is that we have not normalized being not okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you work.
I feel like too many people, like you said, don't have like clinical issues, and it is just purely it's a circumstance, and then they get put in this category, and you know, and that doesn't detract from people who have actual, you know, clinical ongoing things, because it's like, you know, I've mentioned it numerous times to my followers that, you know, I have bipolar disorder, I have borderline personality disorder, and I've had them since I was a child, and I've gone to numerous psychiatrists and stuff to ensure misdiagnosis and stuff is not being misconstrued and whatnot. And yeah, and I only recently last year like went to another psychiatrist, and he was like, yeah, my diagnosis is exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's a real thing, but I think also psychologically you recognize that you are like, all right, I need to go to a doctor okay, I think this is correct. It feels correct.
Yeah.
And I think here, the problem is if you have to save up $500 to go to a doctor because your insurance doesn't cover it, and
Yeah.
you can't afford to get a fucking second opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
You know,
in Australia, we're lucky, you know, and I'm lucky that I have a great, like, normal doctor, like, general doctor. So, you know, I'm lucky in that regard. Like, he was just like, I said to him, you know, I want to go, you know, I need some extra help, like, whatever I want, you know. So, you know, let's look at, like, medication again, like, you know, and diagnosis and stuff. And he was like, oh, I'll call my mate. He's a psychiatrist who works at blah, and I'll make him, like, not charge you, like, and just put it straight through the system. So I was like, cool. So I got, you know, I went and saw him 3 times, and it would have cost me 200 something per visit, and I got it just through our normal government funded healthcare. So no insurance, it's just government. We just fund it. Like, it's, you know, to go to a doctor here is free unless you choose to go to a private doctor. Then you pay half and the government pays the other half, sort of thing.
that's still amazing. I mean, again, like, if you, not only is it hard to get a doctor, but it's hard to get a doctor to give you an accurate thing. But especially if you're not, again, I hate to bring it back, but if you're not a white person, doctors treat you very differently. And I guess it all circles back to, if you start by looking and going like, okay, well, maybe there isn't something wrong with me. Like, most people are taught inherently, at least in America, first thing is there's something wrong with me. And, like, it's okay to just feel sad. People don't, there is no normalization of just feeling depressed and feeling sad, and, like, you know,
well, I mean, and people forget that, like, the idea, what is happiness and all of that shit is completely, like, it's your own definition of makes you happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
sometimes you just want to sit
is,
at home and watch X-Files, like you said.
Yeah, like,
you know,
people are looking for this, I don't know, some ridiculous light bulb moment of, like, yeah, now I'm a happy person, like, and it doesn't exist.
No, you know, life at this point, it's different for everybody. I guess I'll close out the interview by saying this: like, life for me, it just boils down to just being a series of records.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do anything that anybody has ever viewed to be of any merit. Not even, like, this project is really, to my standards, viewed to enough merit where I would consider it to be of merit. But I think the only thing I've ever done that is leaps and bounds been considered to be okay over anything else is music. So that's the thing I've done. And I've done it now for long enough that I don't know how to do anything else. So it's what I'm going to continue doing. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to make music like the X-Mask record that's coming out on July 20th. Or
But
July
10th. Even like Crowhurst, like, is pretty, like, it's a pretty, you can't see it because you're in it, but it's like, it's a pretty fucking amazing, you know, thing. And it's like, the music is very powerful and you have a massive fan base. I mean,
I wouldn't know.
No, but this is what I mean, because you're, like, in it, like, so you're stuck in this, like, chamber, and it's like, you know, you played Roadburn last year. Why the fuck did they ask you to play it if they thought you were shit? You know what I mean?
Don't think they thought I was shit. I just thought
no, but you know
I don't know anybody that listens. I guess I'd put it this way: I don't know anybody that listens to it that I don't already know. But then again, I'm in it, so I'm gonna think anybody who listens to it is just up my ass, because I'm like, what? You don't listen to this shit. But, like, I guess, you know, I know that this is what I do. So I'm gonna keep on doing it, and I'm fortunate that I get to meet people like you, and I get to do I get to continue to work with cool artists that I dig and I respect, and it's something that is, to me, as fun as this project, because this project truly was, like I said, it was just so the girl I was seeing would have something that she liked that she could show people and be like, this is what he
This is
does.
what it is. Yeah.
Like, you know, and I had an excuse to make music with Brian and Craig, who I really enjoy. And you know, I wanted to put it. I wanted to make a record that would come out on Funeral Party Records, and I hit up Brian from Funeral Party, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not really for me." And I was like, "That's cool." And then I hit up Chris, and Chris was like, "Yeah, I'd love to put it out." And I wasn't even expecting Chris to even answer me.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris is like put as such a huge label, so I again, like I'm stoked. I love Chris, and I think it's an amazing label. I'm not saying that it in any way was like a second choice, but more in the sense of like it wasn't even something I would think
He was gonna
yeah,
want. Yeah.
yeah, it's an extreme metal label. I
Mm.
wasn't thinking that he would want the post-punk record, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad that he did, and I think the fact that I continue to get the opportunity to do cool shit like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, he clearly sees the merit in your talent, you know,
Well,
whether you want to recognize it or not.
I chalk it up to Craig and Brian. But I say that, you know, as long as I continue to get the opportunity, that I know that, like, yeah, I've worked my ass off for it, but I know it's also, like, something that plenty of people who work just as hard don't get that opportunity. I want to keep on doing it, and I'm going to keep on busting my ass to make weird shit.
Which is awesome, because that's what we need. Like, we need, you know, there needs to be, like, such a eclectic movement of music, you know. And I've loved watching the evolution of Roadburn in terms of like the acts over the years and how they've been so like open and embracing, you know, all these different artists that previously you probably wouldn't have seen there.
They're the most daring promoters, and that's why they set the trend for the rest of the world. That's why, you know, they're the most forward thinking. They're the ones who know what's up.
Yeah.
And I love them. That's why, you know, like, I only really thought that this project had any merit, actual merit, when we were invited to play Redburn.
Yeah.
Because that was like, oh shit, we must have done something right.
Yeah.
But like, in the back of my head, I'm always like, wow, it's because there are more successful people in this project than me. But
so with Executioner's Mask, when shits are allowed, do you have any? Would you tour it?
Oh yeah, we have two. We have the Crowhurst live band. It's like, yeah, I'd love to play that.
Yeah,
and then we have members of Lace and Craig's, you know, band that Craig's put together in Southwest. It's like, yeah, we'd love to play this.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
awesome.
I don't subscribe to the idea that bands have to be the same people that played on the record.
Yeah,
or the people who played in the record are the same people that wrote the songs.
Yeah.
Or that, you know, Ryan doesn't like doing any press. I love doing press. Craig is happy to do whatever press they want, you know, that comes their way, but they're not going to be like, I don't want to do this or that. You know, I don't know. We're all people, and I think that this idea that everybody's got to fit into this one size fits all role is kind of antiquated. So if we have the opportunity to do any sort of tour, it's cool, we'll take it. Like, I'm not gonna do any tours that suck. After I've toured long enough to know that there's some tours I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But like, it would be nice to get this music out on the road.
Yeah,
and play it to people.
Before we're gonna get cut off, but so before we do, I just want to thank you so much for coming on and just being like legit honest and authentic, and
No problem.
that's what this is all
But
about. I think we're gonna go